everybody, it is me, Biscuituzi, and today we're here talking about ReZero Starting Life in Another World, Season 2, Episode 11. Okay, so starting off from last episode, we saw Subaru uh, end up talking to Beatrice again, and then we ended up finding out that the only way for Beatrice to, like, be freed or whatever, for her to be, like, or for Subaru to be, like, that person for her, is that, I don't really understand if, like, the being that person is, like, the whole love thing, or, like, be, like, completely into me thing, is that person, or if that person, like, is also like I don't know if it's like that person is just the love thing or if it's also the killing her thing because like the only way for her to like be freed from her like internal like thing is apparently she's like been stuck as a spirit in this thing and apparently she's a spirit that's been contracted with Ekidono or Ekidona. Keep on keep on forgetting how to say her name. I'm just gonna say Kidono. And then apparently she's like the reason why she likes books and then why she likes the black book that she has, like her like time thing, being able to like see her time and stuff like that, and she being also able to see like other people's things. Apparently, like during the conversation, like Subaru said, you probably didn't expect me to say something like this, and she ended up grabbing out to her book and looking through it, and she's just like, well, I need to see if he actually because she didn't expect him to like come in and say like his starting lines, and she's like, oh, did he actually mean to say that or like what's going on here? Because he wants to like see what's gonna happen instead of like just seeing it happens. And then he's just like, well, when you're talking to me, don't look at the book. And then Super just smacks the book out of her hand. Like he even like smashes it out of the ground and all the pages poof out. And I like it how she goes from like being like her usual self to like crying her like eyes out, asking for help from Subaru, but then like smacking it away. Be like, oh, this is all you are, I suppose. And then going back to her like monotone self, and she like acts that way through the whole entire rest of the scene until the 9 minute mark where I'm at. And I like it how we also find out who the animal like mob beast user is, and it's like the little blue haired girl from before, but instead of having short hair, she has like longer hair. She's wearing sort of the same outfit as Elsa is wearing, and they're like teaming up. So now we know who is controlling that giant beast and all of those like bad things. And then, like, right now at the 9 minute mark, she already, like, her name is Maylee, and she already destroyed the whole entire village. Like, already killed Frederica, and, like, already killed Petra, and, like, all the other villagers. And she's, like, already done by the time that Subaru, like, gets away from Elsa. Because Elsa, like, does the whole door trick again, where she's, like, opening up all of the doors just to get there, and then ends up stopping the conversation. So then, like, Subaru, like, is having a tough time, like, coming out with, like, Beatrice, like, was, like, acting like the Witch of Envy, because I'm pretty sure that that's the bad one, right? If I'm remembering correctly. And she's like when she was like in Emilia last episode, she kept on saying, "Love me, love me, love me, love me, love me, love me." And then now like Beatrice is like the only way for you to like free me from a contract is for you to like love me and to like only think of me and only like do things for me. And she's like, well, I suppose that you're probably not able to do that. And I was like, dude, like he already has like a number. I guess he has to make like her number like his number three, right? Because like Emilia's number one, Rem is number two, and then now he needs to make, I guess, Beatrice number three if he wants to like save her without killing her. Like the other option is like she, like even like Saru was just like, I can't kill you, like dude, like even I'm just like, dude, this is like a weird route that's going on right now until he probably will end up dying. So then, like I said, Elsa ended up walking in and being like, "Oh, could I be that person?" Because like she's like, "Well, I can't love you," but she didn't say that. But she's like, "I can't love you, but I can kill you," and I would really love to see what the inside of a spirit looks like. It's like, and I did like see like a picture from this from like 2 weeks ago where like she got stabbed and like only like spirit particles just came out. So I guess you can't really see the inside if she like doesn't bleed or anything like that. She just looks like a human girl. I don't know if she can like turn into like another form or something, but I'm assuming this is like her basic form. And then, like even she said to Subaru that she can't kill herself and that only other people can do it. Like I know that she's in one of the routes. Like wasn't she able to like stopping Rem with her power? So I'm really wondering like how strong her power is to like be killed by. Maybe she gets distracted in like the middle of first episode, being distracted fighting off against Melee. That Elsa ends up coming in for the kill, from what I know. Sorry if this is a spoiler if you're watching this alongside me, but if you've already watched this and watched this review, but I guess right now we saw Subaru like finding out about the village dying and falling over, like being helpless and stuff like that. Even though that he tried to protect before they left the mansion to go towards the village where they met up with Melee. Subaru tried protecting Beatrice, and you just tried using Shabak, but then Beatrice used Shabak first, and then instead of like, she's just like, well, what are we gonna do now? And then Hoover just grabs her and just carries her along, and she's like, well, she already knew that I guess the village was already destroyed, and said, well, you shouldn't go to the village, but then they get stopped by Melee. It's like, oh, you're here, and like I really like it how she's like a cute destructive force Melee, how she's like acting cute and stuff like that, acting like because she's a child, but then she's actually just this scary person that like just wants to ruthlessly destroy you, but then like does it in a cute way. Like characters like that are just scary, dude. so far the first 9 minutes are pretty interesting. Learning stuff about Beatrice once more, learning about other things, learning about more about the Mal Beast user that we didn't see last time and seeing it this time. And I can't wait to see what happens in the parts episode. I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, I am back after watching around the 9 minute mark to the 17 minute mark. And one thing that I forgot to mention in the first part of this review was that back when like Subaru was like talking to Beatrice and that Beatrice was like crying her eyes out to him, I don't know if maybe her book told her that Subaru had a conversation with Ekidono or not, because if Subaru does have a talk with Ekidono again, she'll be able to read his memories and she'll be able to see through his eyes to see Beatrice acting this way, and then she'll be able to comment on it in the future. And I realized that when I was watching it, that like if like she is the one that contracted Beatrice, and if they're telling us the right information, the correct information, and that she's the mama to Beatrice, then that means, or maybe the mama is someone else, but like she'll be able to read Subaru's mind and see this moment and be able to like think about it. Like maybe she wasn't asking, maybe she was asking Subaru to save her. Maybe she was also asking, Ekidona to save her from like whatever that's happening right now, because she did like last 400 years. So then after the 9 minute mark, we saw Beatrice push Super out of the way as Elsa came out of nowhere and started like attacking with her sword. And then she used like the whole entire time she said she was using shadow magic. So I'm assuming that she has the same powers as I guess Subaru to a different extent, because like she blocked it with just like this random magic attack, and then afterwards it started shooting shards. I get how each magic attack so far has just been shards. She shoots these dark red crystal shards just out of nowhere, just at her, and she's like dodging. And after a while, like Elsa said, "Oh, you think that this pattern's gonna work?" But then an attack ended up hitting her. She's like, "Oh, I thought that maybe I could like lunge in and attack," and then but didn't work. And then she started like turning into like a crystallized version of herself, and then she broke, and then pretty much turned into like a million pieces of shards based on the crystallization. And then out of nowhere, they turned their attention to Melee. But then Subaru tells Beatrice not to kill a kid. But then like you see his naivety coming into play, because even though he wants to be a good guy and that he wants to be a hero, sometimes you can't save everyone. Like even if someone's like bad, because I'm assuming that she's been like, who knows how long she's been an assassin for, but like all she knows is to be an assassin, and she is teaming up and pairing with being like a partner to Elsa. So so they can't really do it. And then like even like Beatrice is getting mad at him. I think everyone probably would have gotten mad at Seaver. I think even like Emilia would also would be tricked by Melee, but I think after a while she would like, even like Puck would tell her probably like to not like to not like try to help this person for too long. So then out of nowhere, as they're arguing, Beatrice pushes Super out of the way again and then gets stabbed by Elsa out of nowhere. And I was like, dude, was this a clone? Was this an illusion? Like, was she also using like a type of shadow magic or whatever, or like dark magic? Cuts her off and then falls over. And then Subaru gets freaked out. Subaru is like trying to like hold on to her, but then in like the animations, like he was also like, because she's a spirit, like Subaru kept on like trying to like grab her, but then couldn't, but also could grab her. But it definitely worked. Like seeing like the expression on his face, like I feel like I'm not as emotionally attached to Beatrice as like I'd want to be, because that scene didn't really seem sad to me, but I still like I felt a little bit of something seeing that. So then she ends up disappearing, and then just slowly disappearing. I mean, she doesn't like do it right away. She was just slowly dying, and then like even Elsa was excited by her dying, saying, "Oh, you are different from a human," and then was just licking her lips like usual. And then like Subaru like gets mad at at Elsa and then goes in to like attack her, but then she ends up stabbing his eye out, and he ends up. And then as they're like maybe about to finish him off, Beatrice teleports him back to the sanctuary into like that prison that he was in, and he like is there all angry and pissed off and just confused and stuff like that. And he ends up he uses like a part of his clothing to like make like an eye patch, so he only has one eye working. And then like he walks around and he ends up finding Emilia place to do the trials, and then Emilia is just not Emilia. She is like in that form that she was in last episode, like, or at least getting there. She isn't like in her full cloak and everything, turning everything to darkness. But it's snowing again. Like those bunnies are probably gonna show up soon, and like she's just like telling, like pretty much acting weird. Like she was like, "I left a letter for you," and she's just like, "What letter?" And she's like acting all like she's just smiling a lot. She's like all acting all giddy and happy, and then Super is like, "This is not Emilia," and she like says that she loves him, and then he like leaves as apparently she stayed in the trial because she's like trying to like, I guess she feels good there for some reason. She like isn't able to leave or something like that, which is really weird. And her eyes were like all purple, and like Subaru leaves and walks past Garfield and Ryu's like just waiting for her to finish the trial. And then Subaru's like, "Oh, she said that she loved me." She's like talking in her breath, and then, like you see Garfield tried to get angry again, turning into his beast form, but then like he's like, "Hey, you can't just talk about lovey-dovey stuff like this," and then like acting like in like his past trials where he's like angry at Subaru, then Subaru smacks him away and then just says, "She would never say that she loved me," and then he goes from like being angry and being like his very like psychopath self to just going back to his regular like self, and he like I guess like he was like going into that mode, but then he got out of the mode because Subaru's response to him was different. He got on his knees and said, I don't think that's Emilia, and then like says like I don't think. And then there's like, do you think that she's the one that's starting the snow? You should take her out of the trial so we can talk to her. And he's like, I don't think it's him. I think it's Roswald. So then he ends up agreeing and then saying that they go to Roswald. And then Roswald is just like, "Oh, you think that I started the snow? Did I say that?" And then he's like, "Huh?" And I'm thinking that he said, "Did I say that?" Because like he's like, because he also has a book, and then he also knows about Subaru's ability somehow. I don't know if he like knows about it or if his book told him about it. So he's probably like in another timeline. Did I tell you that I created the snow, or like because that's weird because I maybe he didn't do it or maybe he did do it. It's like wishy washy. And then Garfield gets angry and tries to like touch him or like because usually physical contact during a conversation like you try to like do that, but then Ram stops him and says, "Hey, you can't hurt Oswald." And he's like, "There's no time for that." So that's where we're at right now in the middle parts episode. I thought it was pretty interesting seeing what happened to Beatrice, seeing the stuff with like Elsa. Like even Elsa was just like, it's like I can't believe that like Beatrice would try to protect you and stuff like that. And then also seeing the stuff with Roswell, seeing the stuff with Emilia. Stuff with Emilia is scary and also was whack. So I can't wait to see what happens in the other parts of the episode. I'll be back in a few seconds to review the rest of this. Okay, so I just watched the ending of this episode, the ending bits of these episodes. Damn, Roswell is a savage, dude. Holy shit. So that they're getting like Garfield's just getting angry at Roswell, and then Roswell like sees what's going on after like seeing Subaru's reactions, and then he just like plunges his arm right through Ram that's protecting him, and also right into Garfield's like near. I think both of their hearts just shattered both of their hearts right in there, and took his hand out, and then Ram falls first. Or I guess Garfield grabs onto Ram, where they both fall over, and then I guess Garfield falls over first, then Ram fell over, and then like Garfield tries to like save Ram because he likes her, and like even though that like I like it how his words were false, even though that in his like psychopath part he killed her instantly, I would assume, but like in this part he's just like he like is like he's like getting angry trying to like transform, and he's like using all of his energy to like heal Ram's body, even though that Ram it was sort of like she smiled when she died when Roswell killed him. Like she even like looked at Roswell and said Rose, and then he's like, "Well, you fulfilled your wish. I'm only looking at you." I guess like because like they're like in that sort of relationship, and then like he's like trying to heal her and transforming while doing it. I guess he like was able like turning his like transform energy into healing energy maybe, and then Roswell just kicks his head off, just totally just shatters his head. His head just explodes into just a million pieces. Even some of the blood goes onto Subaru's face, and then Subaru is just shocked. Like he isn't even angry at Roswell. He's just like, "Wait, what just happened? Why did you kill them in this timeline?" And Roswell's just like, "Well, it had to happen. Our discussion has to be private." It's like, dude. And then like Roswell says like it needs to be between us, and like Roswell like tells him that like he knows what's going on, and that he's the one that did the whole entire like he's the one that does the snow, and that he used the beast people, he uses the villagers in order to like cast snow spells to like do it, and then like they're leaving Emilia forced in the trials to like keep her isolated, and that no one's talking to her because the villagers don't like her. It's like the human villagers like her, but then like the half beast people, the half beast people don't like her. So then of course they're gonna keep her isolated, and they're gonna like trust Roswell, I would assume, or maybe not. And then like they're like leaving her there, and that's what turns her into like the thing that she's into right now, that like really weird form that's in between herself but not herself, but then also like something else. And then like dude, and then so then Roswald ends up showing Subaru like a thing. He also finally admits to like knowing about like Subaru's like ability to like return by death and stuff like that. And she's like over and over because like even Subaru finally gets mad at him when he asks why Subaru's not mad about him just killing Ram like that. And then like once he actually like like gets Subaru on it, like Subaru's like, "Oh yeah, I should be angry," and then gets mad at him. It's just like, "Why are you always like this over and over again?" And he's like, "Yeah, over and over again, I know." And like he shows Subaru his book, his book that his black gospel that he has, and he's just like, and then as Subaru like gets consciously mad, saying like, oh, is he a witch cultist? He's like, well, I'm not a witch cultist. This isn't the gospel. This is one of two things. And Subaru's like, oh, I've seen that book before, and then the Rosewald is like, well, I guess I don't need to tell you anything because you already know. But I guess Subaru's like, huh? And then like after that, like Rosewald is just like he like looks outside, or like he's just like looks over at him and then says like, "Well, I can't." He like looks over at Subaru and says something. I already forgot what it was, but then Subaru's like, "Oh, are you gonna kill me because of this timeline?" And then he's like, "Well, I don't want to kill you just yet. Still need to talk about things." And he just beats the crap out of Subaru. He literally just pushes like hits him in the back of the head. He falls over and then just starts beating, kicking Subaru in the gut. Keeps on kicking him. He like did this in order to get him to reset the timeline to make him like hurt himself in order to like have things reset. But then he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it, even though he's beat up, crippled almost, but he's still able to like get up and stuff like that. But his face is just like bruised and just pulsating. And then like Rose was like, "Oh, even after all this, you're not gonna do it?" And Sue was like, "Well, I can't do it yet. I need to know why you're doing this and stuff like that." And then like he's like about to say something, then he looks outside. Says, "Oh, I guess we're out of time." And then sees all the like the great rabbits outside. So then they end up going. So one of them like crashes in. And then Rosewald burns it. And then they both go outside. And then Subaru is just like, "Well, I need this timeline to go longer to get things done." And he's like, "Rosewald, let's cast a truce and let's like save all the villagers and get out of here before like he resets the timeline." And then he's just like, "No." He's just like, well, for you, you can return, but I can't. The current me can. I was like, dude, when I saw that, like in my head, I'm just like, dude, you do realize that when you go back, you'll still be alive, even though you might not remember. But then he might remember because of his book, but his book might work different. So maybe he might not remember because I don't really understand how those books work yet. The one that him and Beatrice share. And then afterwards, he ends up like reaffirming what I said in my head, where Rosewald said like even though that the me right now might die, the me in the past will be able to finish my goal. And I still don't know what his goal is, because I know that his goal from last season, he wanted to defeat like the great dragon or whatever, or like dragon. But like I don't know if that's like his like super goal, because if that is a super goal, then everyone knows it. I guess only Ram knows it, unless he has like an even bigger goal. And then like he said that the reason for why he's like doing this is because like he has like the reason why he's done all this, especially to Emilia, is to like all of the schemes and everything, is because just for that goal. I'm really wondering what his goal is, if that is the dragon thing, or if it is something greater for him to like do all of this. And then after that, the great rabbits just start just eating Rosewald and then start eating Subaru, and then it goes into the ending of that bits of the episode where Subaru didn't get eaten like all the way into his body. Like he was still alive. Like I guess they had enough food because they only like bit him in every single orifice of his body, but he was still all together. Like no body parts fell over, and he walked from Rosewald's house all the way to the trials to see Emilia, and you see him lay on like Emilia just doesn't even notice that he's just like beaten to death. She like doesn't care. It's like, oh, you're here. Oh, you're here. I can't believe that you're back. Are you ready to like rest? You look so tired. And then like is smiling the whole entire time. So she like sits down on her knees and says, Subaru, sit in my lap. You like sitting on my lap, right? And Subaru just goes over and like falls onto it. And then like she's like smiling the whole entire time. It's like, well, it's so selfish that I want you all to myself, but I know that you also want to be there for everyone else. I was like, dude, like that is like Subaru's thing. Like even like Rosewald said the same thing that Beatrice said, where it's like you need to like find one thing and you need to like go for just for that one goal. But then Subaru's goal, if he were to have that goal, is to like save Emilia. But it seems, even though he wants to save Emilia, he also wants to save Rem. But at the same time, when he wants to save Rem and Emilia, he also wants to save everyone else. Then he's selfish, just like Emilia selfish. That the word that she spat right before the end of the episode. Then Subaru ends up dying from blood loss, and like his eyes lose color. And then Emilia's like, oh. And then just goes in and then kisses him as like he's sleeping, quote unquote. And then the episode ends called "The Taste of Death." So man, that timeline was whack. Damn, so much happened this episode, and that ending was just like even like the whole entire like gradient of like that shot that was having there. Like, dude, I can't wait to see what happens in the next run when he wakes up and has to like go through a bunch of new stuff. I know that the next episode there's going to be some stuff with Ekidono again back in like the Tea Party, I assume, or maybe he might also go through like the second trial, because he still needs to go through 3 trials, right? And he only went through one, so I guess I don't even know if the next episode is the last episode, because if it is, that means that we're gonna have to get another season soon, or maybe like a second court at some point if there isn't going to be another episode next week. I mean, not next this week, but I still need to review the other episode. Then I don't know if there's an episode next week after that, back when I upload this. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts. And if you do, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy this episode, leave a dislike. I'll see you guys in the next episode review. And then if there's no one after that, then yes. If not, this will be the ending. So I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, night, or evening. And yeah, bye. See you later.